about AGRA, what we do, and why we're here. So AGRA is the Alliance for Green Revolution in Africa, and we're one of the key stakeholders that works to drive agriculture transformation in food systems across the African continent. And we do this through a number of avenues. One of it very key for us, and also in this case, I'll assume for you as well as an audience, is ensuring that agribusinesses have access to markets regularly and have access to markets, particularly for women. I will say this, so from the perspective of our team, where we sit within AGRA, we ensure that all of our activities and efforts have a focus on enhancing women's access to markets as well as productive assets, and also that women-led businesses also have equal opportunity to what we see as investments that are available on the continent. Now, underpinning all of this is the, I guess, critical and urgent need for us to grow food that makes our planet, our continent, and our countries healthier. And so one of the aspects that the team drives a lot is ensuring that we are setting out investment activities and efforts that do drive nutritional outcomes. What that means for us is working with various farmers to ensure that they have a diverse group of crops that they grow, working with businesses like you have, whether they are mature businesses, startups, ensuring that your product line includes food that is nutrient dense and food that will help family diets to be healthier and more balanced. So I am very, very happy to be here today. And I do hope, like Lee said, I hope I can attend all the 9 master classes to not only share information, but discover with you as well knowledge and learnings around how we can make nutrition and business see profit levels, and also being able to identify the value add and unique selling, I'll say, selling point of having a nutrition focus with the business, especially in agribusiness. I think there'll be a number of different modules and classes that will go through processing techniques, ensuring that we're producing and selling and marketing safe food. So, of course, looking at standards and certifications, being able to leverage technology in this space. How do we use technology to drive nutritional outcomes in our businesses? And so on and so forth. I don't want to let you in on all the secrets of the classes, but I do hope that you will be present and attend for the next 7 sessions, and also do spread the word to other businesses that you believe will benefit from this. That being said, I don't want to take up too much time. Lee, I'll hand it back over to you, and I wish you a very, very successful deliberation and a delightful masterclass going on. Lee, over to you.
Thank you very much, Nana. Thank you for setting the context for us, and also for allowing us to be in this space. Through your guidance, we're able to set up these kind of sessions for women and youth in agribusiness. So thank you once again. So just to do a bit of housekeeping. So you'll automatically be muted when the facilitator starts. We ask that you keep yourself muted at all times so that we can have a good session free of any interruptions. If you have any questions, if you go down, if you're on your desktop, there's a more option down on the toolbars. On the toolbars, you should see more options. And in that more options, you'll see a Q&A box. So that's where you post any questions as the session is ongoing. Please, let's use the Q&A session for the questions and not the chat box. Yeah, the chat box, you can feel free to introduce yourself and tell us where you're joining us from. But for any questions to the facilitator and even to the secretariat, the Value Secretariat as we go on, please use the Q&A section, because that's where we're able to address all your questions. The session will have, in the next 1 minute, I'll be introducing Betha to facilitate the rest of the session. And then from there, we're going to have a couple of minutes of a breakout room where everybody is going to be in a different breakout rooms where you get to meet different people, different women, different youths in agribusiness from different countries. We're going to give you just a small assignment within that breakout room where you have like 10 to 15 minutes to discuss within what is going to be shared by Betha. And then from there, we're going to reconvene for a very, very engaging session of Q&A, which Betha is going to handle as well. So please stay tuned for up to, we've run this session before and it was 1 hour and we discovered the questions were many and the hunger for knowledge was many. So we say this time round, we're going to do all these sessions for 2 hours. So these sessions, for those who are in the East African time, they will end at 5 p.m. If you're in the CAT, it's going to end at 6 p.m. But the whole point is to ensure that we give you as much information as possible and also to allow the feedback mechanism where you're able to provide us feedback and also you're able to ask questions and have ample time for Betha to respond to your questions. So having said that, I would want to hand it now to Betha, who's going to facilitate the rest of the module 1. So over to you, Betha.
Thank you very much, Lee. And my name is Betha Mkandawire. I work here at AGRA as the lead for nutrition sensitive agriculture. So basically what I do is I look at the agriculture, the whole value chain, and I try to position nutrition along the value chains. What can we benefit from agriculture within the value chain? So that's basically my job. And these master classes, we designed them because we realized that SMEs, farmers actually are the key players making food available to the consumers and on the market. So it was just right so that we can align in terms of understanding, but also we should move nutrition from being just a healthy outcome and to position it now to looking at it as something that can benefit us. So I'll be sharing my presentation as I go along. If you have questions, put them in Q&A. As Lee has said, I may not answer them all at this time, but we will have time to answer a lot of questions. My masterclass is not really necessarily just a lecture. I would really love for us to interact. I'll be asking questions and I'll be expecting you to provide feedback. I'll also ask your experiences. So it will be a back and forth, but in a way that we are exchanging knowledge as well as information. You are the people who own businesses, so you have even better understanding and real issues that are coming out of the businesses. Okay, let me move my video and let me try to share. Okay, let me. Okay, can we all see my screen? Hello? Lee?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you so much. All right. So as we said, our series are about nutrition and profits, how we can grow our agribusiness in a diet conscious world. Yeah, so today's first session, we're actually looking at nutrition and business profitability. It's the hidden competitive edge in a diet conscious world. What we're actually saying is nutrition should not be just an outcome that we look at and say, oh, I'm healthy, I'm not healthy, but it should be something that we put in our business, we build in our business, and we run with our business so that people appreciate that whatever we are offering is just beyond the food they're eating. It's actually building their health. And you can't put a price on health, but in this case, you're literally putting a price on your health through the food that you are offering. So quickly, we will go through a few topics. They're not too long. I just structured them so that they can help us to really appreciate and understand what we're doing. This being the first topic, I wanted us to also appreciate why nutrition matters for Africa as a continent. Why are we talking about nutrition? And then, where is nutrition in the agri-food value chains in your business? When we talk about agri-food value chains, we're looking at from production all the way to the consumption. Along this way, where is business in terms of nutrition? Where are we saying in this business, this is the nutrition focus. Because most of the times when we talk nutrition, people only look at the plate or the food that is already there being sold on the market, but they're forgetting about the land that food is produced. They're forgetting about the fertilizer that is used in producing that food, the farmer themselves that are producing that food. So it's a whole chain of players, a whole chain of offerings that are there to aid in producing this food. Then why nutrition matters in business today more than ever? Why is it that we should put a lens on nutrition in our business? Then we are building a business case for nutrition. We are just transitioning from 3 to 4. How do I make sure that my business is loud enough for nutrition to address or to speak to different consumers who are very nutrition conscious? Then we also try to identify nutrition entry points in your business. Some of these subtopics will be like covered in detail, but being the first session, I wanted to give like a snapshot of what exactly are we looking at. Then the business page. So why nutrition matters in Africa? The situation is we have 60 million African children under the age of 5 who are stunted. When we say stunted, we mean that a child who was supposed to achieve a certain height at a certain age, but they are too short for that height because they did not get enough nutrients from the food mostly to make them gain the height that they are supposed to get. So we have over 60 million children in Africa, or I would say 30% of all African children are not achieving what they're supposed to achieve. It's not only food, disease can also contribute, but that disease can also come from you not eating the right food. Then over 50% of Africans cannot afford a healthier diet. As much as we grow a lot of food on this continent, but almost half of the population on our continent cannot afford a healthier diet, and that's quite big. Then we, as a continent, we are also being faced with a triple burden. When we say triple burden, we are looking under nutrition, where you are not getting enough nutrients. We are looking at micronutrient deficiencies, where the food you are eating is not giving you the right micronutrients. Plus, we are also faced with rising obesity. So you can have all these three existing in one person or in one household. And in Africa, poor diets are the #1 risks for any disease. Then rural diets are often the ones that lack mostly the nutrients, while urban diets are becoming increasingly ultra processed and they are source of so many non-communicable diseases. So why nutrition matters for SMEs? When you hear nutrition, yourself as a business, what comes to your mind? I want you to just type in the Q&A your answers so that I can appreciate to say what is it that you understand by nutrition as a business? What comes to your mind? Lee, you can help to read out some of the answers that they will be given. But I would love to read some of those to say, what do you really understand by nutrition? When you hear nutrition, you as a business, what comes to your mind? All right, so I'll give us 2 minutes, maybe.
Yes, we have Loveness who says food. Abosede says right nutrients combination. Olabisi says eating habits. Tochukwu says eating food for general well-being. Sarah says nutrition is about personal diet. Yeah. Nana says organic and clean foods.
Right.
Violet saying eating the right kind of food.
Okay.
We have someone says it's healthy eating.
It's healthy
Carol
eating.
says it's a healthy lifestyle. Sarah says good and healthy food that adds value to life. That's good.
Okay.
Vivian says it's food and nutrients. Elisha says combination of nutrients. Victoria is talking of organic foods.
Okay.
Blessing is talking of a healthy eating, including complete class of foods comes to mind.
All right. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So I think we have an understanding of what nutrition is. And I think what makes me really happy here is because as businesses, I really did not expect people to really explain the way you have explained, because sometimes when we are business people, there is a bloodline between what we know as nutrition and what we as a business know as nutrition. But I think we are dealing with really nutrition sensitive businesses in this room, and that is a very commendable thing. So, from my interaction with a lot of businesses, when we talk about nutrition, some of the things or ideas that I mostly get from people is nutrition is for NGOs, not for businesses, because on our continent, the issues of nutrition are associated with children who are malnourished, looking sick, they're admitted in hospitals, and we see UNICEF running after them, treating them, managing them. So it becomes an NGO thing. Some feel like whatever they're selling is already healthy, it's already natural, so they don't need to really emphasize nutrition. Some feel like customers just care about price, not the nutrition. Some believe nutrition is this big word called fortification, and big companies are putting on it. And others feel like as long as people are full, they are fed, that's okay. Some think it's the issue of doctors talking about nutrition, not about them. Some feel okay if I talk about nutrition and my business, it demands a lot, and I'm not ready for that. But I'm glad that this group had really amazing insights into what nutrition means to them as a business. Now, why should SMEs think about nutrition in a way that we would want to advance nutrition? Remember, I said we are looking at nutrition not only as an outcome where someone is health or not health, but we are looking at it as a competitive edge to support us to achieve more in business. So, just to give you a brief of what we are dealing with right now on our continent, African food system is failing us to deliver healthy, affordable, accessible diets for all people. As I said, only less at least 50% of the people can afford a healthy diet, but many of them cannot. And when we say a healthy diet, we don't mean just eating a staple and maybe some beans. That's still not a healthy diet. A healthy diet is you being able to eat at least from 5 different food groups. Okay, from 5 different food groups in a day in the right amounts and with the right nutrients. And for people to achieve that on this continent, it's very, very difficult. But what we should know is that most African consumers depend on SMEs for their daily food. They don't depend much on multinationals. They may go into big shops, but they may not get their primary food sources from there. So the SMEs play a very big role on our continent in terms of supplying food. So as food producers, as processors, as traders, us SMEs shape what people eat on this continent, and therefore we shape the health. And that's why it's also very important, apart from using nutrition as a competitive edge in business, but to also remember that we as businesses on this continent, we actually drive the health and the future of this continent with the food offerings that we make. And by being an SME that has a nutrition focus, you are doing more than just making the money. You are fighting malnutrition. I can assure you, none of the African countries right now has managed to achieve nutritional outcomes according to our African Union indicators. None of all the countries. We are struggling as a continent. Our children, instead of getting better, are even getting worse than they were 10 years ago. And I think in the past, the greatest mistake we made, I should agree to that, is that we did not look at businesses as very key in supporting this continent to build a healthier continent, to build a continent where children are not malnourished. Remember, a malnourished child is impaired cognitively. It means they can't think beyond, and they can't be creative, they can't be innovative because their brain function is performing below the expectation because they are malnourished. So we left the businesses to do their thing, and governments and NGOs were running the show to try to put off the fire of malnutrition, and we have not. It has not taken us anywhere. So the next decade of nutrition on this continent is literally dependent on how our businesses are going to play in addressing malnutrition. So you can see, as much as we're talking profits, there is a bigger burden or a bigger responsibility that is placed on us as food suppliers within the food system. Okay, so I would like to know, I know that some of you like put in the chat where you are in your business within the value chain. Some of you talked about value addition, some of you talked about processing, some of you talked about technology. I would like you to quickly just type where you are in the food value chain. Remember, it's from production all the way to consumption and related services and activities that you are offering within the food value chain. That's all about agribusiness value chain. So Lee, you will help me again because I'm not able to see some of the comments, but I would really want to know at what stage of the value chain are you? You can just type to say maybe I'm a producer on the farm, or maybe I'm an agro dealer, or maybe I do this. You can just say, or I own a restaurant, or I own a cake business. Whatever you do, that will help me to understand the kind of business or where you are within the agricultural value chain or the agribusiness. Okay, I'll give us 2 minutes just to tap into that.
Okay, we have many coming in. Ruth
Okay.
Adesina is in catfish farming and processing.
All right. Okay.
Proscovia, agro-processing. Agro-processing again. Grace Abosede, processing to finished goods. Jennifer, production. Zipporah Gadura is a farmer.
Okay.
Sarah Kezier, producer. We have Helen from Rwanda, who's in extension.
Okay.
Looking at different one we have here. Wanjiro Mambo, she's in the potato value addition. Babazi Aimi, crop cultivation. Akea Agro, processing and packaging of fonio into ready-to-eat goods. So we have a lot of production and a lot of processing, but we have 840 who's also in marketing.
Okay.
We have an agro dealer, Dalitso Chikuse. Nancy Dalla is in fertilizer production. So a lot of it, we have Jumai, Victor, who's in cool storage, marketing, and biochar production. So a lot of them are in processing. A lot of us are in processing, as well as processing and value addition. But also we have many of us who are also farmers.
Okay. Okay, that's very good. So I want to touch on what we understand by value chain. I know all of you are already in there, but maybe from a nutrition perspective, what is it that we expect from a nutrition perspective? Because as I said, people consider nutrition as the end part of the game where the food is ready, but that's not nutrition. Nutrition is across the whole value chain, the whole activities within the food system. So, for example, if you are a farmer, you are producing food. From a nutrition perspective, we look at what are you producing. Let's say you are producing maize, millet, sorghum, maybe bananas, all that. We, from a nutrition perspective, we categorize that as staple foods. Or yes, we categorize them as staple foods. So in nutrition, that's one food group. You are producing one food group. But if you are producing that and many more other different foods, maybe groundnuts, beans, and all that, we consider that farmer a very diversified farmer because already is contributing to 2 or more food groups. So you could be maybe doing business. I've seen some are into fertilizer. If you are doing fertilizer which is organic, for example, we expect a lot from that because we know that organic fertilizer, the crops that will be grown with organic fertilizer, they will yield more nutrients out of it. So that's being nutrition sensitive. But now when it comes to business, you may not be able to explain that to the customers that you are dealing with. You may just be selling a fertilizer, but you are doing more than just selling a fertilizer. If you are doing organic fertilizer and all these fertilizer that are improving soil health, you are actually building the nutritional value of crops that if consumers consume a crop that was grown with nutrient dense organic matter, they'll benefit more than that a crop that was just grown with one type or something like that. So now, how do you package yourself to communicate that kind of information that people should appreciate, that you are not just selling organic manure, you are selling health to people. You are making sure that the people, when they eat the crops grown by your organic manure, they will benefit more. So we look at it from all of that. Then let's say you are doing labor saving technologies. Maybe you introduce certain machinery that is helping farmers on the farm. From a nutrition perspective, we don't take that for granted, because we know the time that this farmer will rescue from tedious work would be invested in using that time to cook maybe nutritious food. So if a woman was to spend 5 hours shelling maize and she spends 1 hour, the other 4 hours she has time to feed her child, she has time to go to a market, she has time to cook nutritious food. What it means for you as a business is you may not know directly that you have contributed to nutrition, but you have contributed to nutrition in a very great way. So from now on, what we really want to be doing is such kind of businesses, we really need to start packaging them in a way that they see how are you getting to the bigger picture of contributing to nutrition. You are more doing more than someone who is not in that business space. Therefore, you cannot take your business for granted when it comes to nutrition. So you look at all that. I've come up with a few examples. Some of the examples I came up with, I noticed that you already mentioned them. So for example, let's look at this business. Let's say you are a business that makes animal feed, for example, right? You are an animal feed business. Maybe you are making fish feed or chicken feed or any livestock feed that you are making. It's a business, it's out there. When you are selling that feed, in a business cycle, people are looking at the immediate beneficiary as animals, right? But who is the beneficiary of this actually is humans, because when you produce animals, who's supposed to eat the animals? It's people, it's humans. So what you are looking at is, when I'm producing this feed, it has to be safe and nutritious, not only for animals. As animals consume it, when it is safe, humans will be safe. Remember that if you are selling animal feed that has aflatoxins or has toxins, those can be translated into the meat itself. It can be translated into the meat, and when humans are eating livestock that was fed on bad feed, they can actually get sick from those toxins. If there is milk, milk can be contaminated. So when you are looking at nutrition, we're asking you a question: how safe is your food? We are not only asking for the animals that you are producing, but we are also looking at the humans that are going to eat the animals produced from that animal feed. So it becomes a chain. Now, how do you communicate that? If you are selling this, you are assuring the consumer that, look, I'm producing animal feed, but my animal feed is so safe, it does not contain aflatoxins. And if my animals are fed, if your animals are fed with this feed, humans are assured of quality meat or quality milk. That's how nutrition sensitive it becomes within the value chain. Let's look for at another example. Someone mentioned that they are producing organic manure. Let's say you are producing frass or manure made from insects or made from black soldier fly. I've seen this business growing in different quarters. Someone may ask, how is this related to nutrition? For me, as a nutrition person, I'm looking at what you are producing and what it is doing, not to the soil. That is not my concern, but what is doing to the crop itself. So if it's gonna increase protein in the greens, that is very good for me. If it's gonna improve vitamin content, it's very good for nutrition. If it's gonna improve the taste, the shelf life, the disease resistance, that's good for the nutrition. Because if I'm gonna sell, let's say, tomatoes, and the shelf life is improved, it means your fertilizer input has supported my business. So it becomes a chain, and therefore you have a product on the market that can stand the shelf life. You have a product that is disease resistant. Therefore, we have more products on the market. Nutrition wise, we are not going to say, this season there is no tomato. Someone has already taken care of that. So if you're doing that business, how do you come out in a strong way that you are confident that you are not only producing this for the soil, but the soil from which the crops will be grown will translate into human nutrition? Remember that you cannot make baseless claims you have to make claims based on if your product is tested, is verified, it has the right micronutrients, that's good. Because the other temptation you will have as a business is to put in a claim just to sell a product. Many countries have very strict laws and regulations on how you are selling your product and passing it to be doing ABCD. You can't do that because that has serious legal implications on you. Your Bureau of Standards can really have issues. But if you are doing the right thing, remember, you are not only improving the soil, you are also improving the quality of crops. I gave several examples because I want you to understand that your business within the value chain is not just a business. It is all directed at speaking to nutrition. Let's say you own a seed company. Don't worry about this name. I made it up. Nutrivance, Nutrition and Advanced Seed. Let's say you are only specializing in retailing or distributing vitamin A rich maize, iron and zinc rich beans. You are doing millet, which is biofortified, or you are also distributing indigenous vegetable seeds. It means you are making available nutrient dense seeds to farmers. What does that mean for nutrition? It means farmers will grow the seed crop that will translate in nutrition at the household level. Therefore, from a nutritional perspective, you are not only selling seed, you are selling nutrition. Then, as a business, you should be able to understand how you are contributing to nutrition generally, and you should be able to put that in your business clearly to say, if I'm selling vitamin A rich seed, I'm not selling only seed, I'm selling a health for children, because if a pregnant woman doesn't have vitamin A, most of the times they give birth to children who have defects. You know, they have all these development problems, development challenges, but you are contributing to that. So what we're faced with is business sometimes do not understand how important what they're doing is for nutrition. And how are you going to sell that? You have to package in a way that it speaks to human health, to human beings. As I said, humans are increasingly looking for something that will speak to their health. Or you could be a fish fingerling business. You are doing fingerlings. You find that maybe farmers are not able to find those fingerlings in the immediate environment, but it is there. And you are contributing to protein. Let me tell you this. On our continent, when it comes to children, less than 40% of our children are fed on animal source food. Many of our children's diet quality is very, very poor. So if you are doing animal source food, fingerlings, you are increasing fish availability, you are directly contributing to animal source food. Why are we insisting on animal source food? Because animal protein plays a very big role in child growth. Remember the stunting I talked about? If the child doesn't have animal protein, most of the times their growth spurt is stunted, is reduced. I'm not saying animal plant protein is not good, but the viability of it, the way it works, animal protein has even more use in children within the 1,000 days of their growth. Or maybe you are a farmer, you own a farm. To you, it's a business, but for nutrition already, you have fruits, you have legumes, you have all you have grains. You are a farmer, you own a farm, and you are contributing to nutrition. If you are selling on a farm, it may be difficult for you to speak to the nutrition in a way that a processing company is speaking to it. You may grow, let's say, apple custard, okay, or papayas on your farm. Someone will come to take that to sell, they'll package. They will have a better way of packaging and selling from a nutrition perspective than someone who is growing on a farm, because you may not be able to say, okay, I'm selling you this apple custard. Apple custard contains this vitamin. This off-taker just wants to off-take, and they are the ones that are adding value. But you can still communicate on your farm, what you are doing, and how you are contributing to general nutrition. The other thing you have to appreciate is governments are increasingly looking at how different businesses are contributing or supporting national development agenda. And nutrition and food security is one of the high-level kind of indicators, socioeconomic indicators for any country. If a country is struggling with malnutrition, even if they are doing well in so many indicators, that country is categorized as underdeveloped, because the human capital is not taken care of. You need that. So how do you communicate your business? The other important thing you have to remember is there are certain governments that rewards nutritious foods on the market. So if you are growing nutritious food, you may be having an advantage of tapping into tax exemptions that the government is offering. So try to understand, what am I doing with my product? What is it really benefiting to the general population? It's not just another product. It's a product that is contributing in so many ways. I gave a lot of examples. You could have a livestock farm. You could be an aggregator of diverse fruits and vegetables in your region. Understand what you are doing. How is this important for nutrition, for health? How do you package it? Not as saying if you eat bananas, your potassium would, no, 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 no. Consumers will not understand it. But how do you package it in a way that they will appreciate that, okay, this product has these healthy benefits for me, without getting technical? You could be a business that is doing mechanization at a small scale, and you may be feeling, what has nutrition to do with mechanization? It has everything to do with mechanization, because when you are selling a nutritious product that is appealing to the consumer, no one wants broken grains. No one wants grains with aflatoxins or dirty products or contaminations. But also, you are saving the time of the farmer, as I said. So you are able to come up to support anyone who is going to offtake from you, from these farmers, in a way that they appreciate the quality of grain that you are contributing. If a farmer knows that after using your labor-saving mechanization tools, they were able to offtake, to have more offtakers offtake from them, they will increasingly look forward to having such technologies, small-scale technologies, to support them. You could be running an agro dealer who's selling maybe moisture, uh, measuring moisture in the grains, like to check for mods and things like that, or in the soil. Or you could be running a restaurant, you could be selling an egg powder. All these are part of the things that are in the agri-food business or value chain. Sometimes people forget that a restaurant is part of an agri-food value chain, because it is of taking all the food from all this chain to the restaurant. By the time it runs on this plate, this restaurant owner is worried if your fish was packaged well, if it will not cause problems with the consumer, if your vegetables are free of toxins. So you start speaking to each other. If this restaurant owner knows where this food is coming from, how safe that food is, who is producing that food, they can even advertise and confidently say that we are sourcing straight from the farm. We know where we're sourcing from. We know how this food is grown. And that adds credibility to a business. I wouldn't want to walk in a restaurant if I ask them, where is this salmon coming from, or where is this fish coming from? They're like, I'm not really sure. I think someone supplies. Someone from where? What if they're producing this fish from sewers or some place that I don't know? So traceability and understanding all these things we are going to cover in these master sessions, because we really want to understand and appreciate what we are dealing with. What I'm giving you today is just like an eye opener or an introduction of what we'll be dealing with. But there'll be sessions where you will learn to say, if I want to export my pineapple to Europe or to Japan, what should I do? So all that will be covered. But I'm just giving you an example and showing you to say, when we say an agriculture value chain in nutrition, what do we mean? Everyone is very, very important when it comes to nutrition within the value chain. You could be selling cakes. For someone who makes cakes from, let's say, sorghum, carrots, and vegetables, add a little bit wheat flour and make a cake, and they don't put sugar, it would be different from someone who is making a cake from just flour, like wheat flour, processed wheat flour with a lot of sugar, a lot of fats, and all that. That would be different. I would eat a cake which I know has nutrient dense and has your high quality nutrients in its ingredient. So I wouldn't dismiss the cake, but I would dismiss that cake if it is made from a lot of sugar, a lot of salt, a lot of, all those things that are not good for health. Remember, a lot of countries will not put cakes in their food groups, because they don't trust the amount of sugar, amount of salt that are included. But should we penalize a cake business on that ground and call it not nutritious? No, we can get creative and make sure that the cake is offering the kind of nutrients that people want, without people deprived of eating cakes. Because in a diet conscious world, people measure the amount of sugar they're eating. They measure, if I eat this cake, they have applications. They will take a picture of your cake, put it out there, and they'll see 2,000 calories from just a slice of cake. They're like, no, I'm not eating a cake. So if you become creative within your business, you make offerings that are nutrition sensitive. They put all that in mind. Even if they scan your product, they find that it is within the recommended nutrition intake, they will have a trust with your food. Someone mentioned they are into transport or packaging, logistics. You could be doing that. A lot of farmers who produce fresh products, they go to waste because there's no strong transport and packaging business that can lead fast track the product from source to market. But if you are in that space, it means farmers can be comfortable to produce. It can be vegetables, it can be fish, it can be meat, it can be any kind of perishable products that you are offering. You could be someone who is just producing packaging materials that preserve moisture, that they lock in nutrients without losing them because of exposure to the sun. There are certain nutrients when you package them, you put them on the shelf, they'll go because of the exposure to a lot of elements. But if you have packaging materials that preserve that, for us in nutrition, we count that as nutrition sensitive. So all these issues you put into consideration. Now, how do you, if you are, let's say, selling these packaging materials, for example, how do you communicate your value for nutrition? Sometimes you may just say, I'm selling this packaging for your convenience. But no, it's not only for the convenience of packaging the material. You are actually preserving certain vitamins and minerals in the food that could have been lost because of poor packaging. Remember, we have a whole topic on this packaging, which will be covered in our master sessions, and we'll be hearing from little industries what they are doing, how they are doing it. Someone talked about e-science or something. You could be running an e-market platform where you say, I'm only gonna facilitate the selling and the buying of only nutritious food, no junk food on this market. You could have that as an app. It is nutrition sensitive because what are you doing? You are actually saying, if you want nutritious food, you come here. We are selling. There are people selling here. And if you are the one running the app, you have to verify with the people who are selling on this platform where their source is. You use Internet of Things. We have a topic on that. We'll be covered on that. But what I'm trying to show you is nothing of the activity within the value chain is small for nutrition. Everything is very, very important. Now, it's time for us to start packaging what we are doing in a way that the consumer appreciates and the consumer sees that, okay, this is where this food is coming from. If this fish is coming from Lake Malawi, the seller should be able to say it is coming from Lake Malawi or Lake Victoria or whatever lake on this continent, or whatever river from this continent. If someone can't tell you where this product is coming from, then that is starting to be very, very questionable. So why nutrition matters in business, I think I've touched a lot on that. We see a lot of customers demanding high value. We see the global market right now. It is a significant opportunity. For example, the African food market is projected to reach 865 billion by 2025. That's the food market in general. But specifically, if you look at nutritious food and functional foods for Africa, it is estimated to reach about $20 billion dollar industry or market, growing annual at 8.1%. So the demand is huge. Fruits and vegetables are highly demanded on this continent, as well as beyond our borders. Especially urban consumers are becoming very, very healthy conscious. The snacks they want, the food they want, the way it is packaged, the sauces. We have seen this trend mostly growing in countries like Nigeria, South Africa, Kenya. Zambia is coming up. A lot of countries are putting a lot of demand on the supplier, on the SMEs, on the businesses in terms of what is nutritious. Yeah, so more of the information. I hope we'll be able to share these session PowerPoints so that you can have even more understanding. Remember, nutrition is a consumer priority right now. There are rising diet-related illnesses, and the consumers are increasingly seeking healthier food options. Let me tell you this, on our continent, the rise of diet-related diseases like cancer, diabetes, and all those diseases are very becoming very high and of concern. And as of 2 years now, none of the African country has managed to manage these diet-related diseases. On this continent, if you are sick from these diet-related problems, the chances of you surviving are either you go to India or some other countries or things like that. I don't think we are a continent that has a luxury to let diet-related illnesses dominate on our continent. Our healthy systems are not very healthy in terms of managing diseases. It might be very expensive for an average person to manage diet-related diseases. Only the rich can fly out of the continent or can do things, and people with average incomes, like little incomes. The rest of us, what we are looking forward to is for our food suppliers to supply us with safe food that will not make us sick, to help us understand what we are eating, the sources where this food is coming from. I repeat, African continent does not have the luxury of messing with the food system because our healthy care is not as advanced as these other nations. Our best bet is our businesses to give us to supply the consumer with the best food. I said that a lot of people are going health conscious. They may have money, that's why they're going health conscious. But think of a rural person with little money. They will eat what is cheap. And what is cheap most of the time sometimes is not as produced in a safe way, in a nutrition sensitive way. So we have to think of the consumer who is our customer. We don't want that consumer to be a patient. A patient does not eat a lot of food. Does not eat a lot of food. We want everyone to be healthy so that we produce more food, they consume more of it in right amounts, everyone is healthy. So when we say SMEs have a big job on this continent, please take that very seriously. There is a big job that we are supposed to do. And we cannot continue as a continent import food from abroad, from other countries. If we are going to import, it has to be very necessary. But we can't import things like rice, fruits, bananas. We shouldn't as a continent. Do you know that African continent is the only continent that has 60% of the land for arable food production? 60%. And this is the continent with the youngest population in the world. Our young people form most of the population on this continent. Now, add the land, add the young people, add the demand for healthy food, you have a very serious business case to run. But nutrition should be high on our agenda because we need a healthy continent. Remember also, if we have a lot of people who do not have nutritious food on our continent, we will not be competitive globally. The countries right now, children are busy doing innovations, creative this. They are in the fourth industrial revolution. Why? Because they paid attention to their diet, to their healthy care. The children are born, they're already very creative. As we are recipient of a lot of technology. Sometimes people argue with me to say, no, that has nothing to do with nutrition. But from a nutrition perspective, if from the age of birth to 5 years, or maybe to 2 years, your brain was not fully developed, brain is the engine of thinking. If your engine of thinking, creativity was not fully developed, do you think you can invent something like iPhone? No, it really needs proper diet. And why I'm insisting on SMEs driving this is because it's more than just the food that we're offering. We are looking and taking care of our continent. And we have a big job to do on that. Now let's break from that kind of sad sounding narrative. It's not sad, but it's the reality. Let's look at these potatoes. I want us to just think through this. We have these potatoes here. Which sweet potato type do you prefer and why? So there are white ones as well as there are orange fleshed. Why I'm asking this is I just want to hear from you, not as a business owner, but as a consumer. Which potatoes would you go for? Please, if anyone types anything, please read out. I'm not able to read most of the comments right now.
Someone, Anna has said orange, Doreen orange, Lusungu orange. Grace says white. Orange seems to be the preferred one. Orange, orange, orange.
Can we ask why? Why are they going for orange sweet potato? Is it because it tastes better to them, or is it that they know there is a value, a nutritional value in it? Why the orange?
Orange. So Efina Sibande has said orange with B vitamin A.
Mm-hmm.
Nsungu has said due to vitamin A presence orange.
Mm-hmm.
Orange is rich in vitamin A, that is Charity.
Mm-hmm.
So vitamin A. Miriam says, I prefer the Irish potatoes. It's low in calories.
Mm-hmm.
If Inoa says, I prefer the orange fleshed. It doesn't spoil as fast as the white one.
Mm-hmm.
Sarakera, orange, beautiful color and vitamin A.
Okay, so
Some people say it's orange because it has iron.
okay, so I asked two questions. So I think the first one was, what do you look for when buying your food? I was referring to that. Then, what would your buyers look for when choosing? Let's say you are the one selling these products. What would be the first thing that your buyers would be looking for? Do you think they would buy it the way you are looking at it as a business, to say it has vitamins, all that? What would inform your buyers to go for vitamin A or not to go for vitamin A? Any reason?
Lusungu is talking of presentation.
Mm-hmm.
Theon Dembo, appealing outlook. Someone
Mm-hmm.
has said price, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Fiona is talking of quality. Not sure how someone can tell quality.
Mm-hmm.
Appearance.
Mm-hmm.
Orange is trendy. Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, so why I asked this is there are a lot of us here who are really well informed. They understand, because I can see why they are choosing or mentioning the vitamin presence. It means we are really well informed. Now imagine you are just selling this on the market without giving anyone any information. And would you think your customers, unless they have gotten wind of vitamin A, but if they don't have that kind of information, they may not as choose the product as you are doing. So what is your job is to make sure that when you are doing differentiation, we'll talk about this in a few minutes, you are able to give as much information to the consumer as possible. Why should I go for orange? It should justify why I should go. So if I'm a business, I may feel like I don't have time to package all this information, to give all this information, but it may make a difference. There could be someone pregnant who they are getting vitamin A supplementation from the hospital, and then they hear that you can also get vitamin A if it's available from this type of product. They may want to eat that. So information becomes very, very key. It's not something that we should assume to say, oh, because everyone is talking about this, then it is a ready to go. No, we have to be very, very intentional. So is nutrition all that matters? Here I put that often nutrition appeal is not always a driver for consumers to choose what you are offering. Consumer culture, consumer preferences play a role. Even financial status will play a role. Even the availability of that product will play a role. So you might say, okay, I want to sell orange fresh sweet potatoes. Because we discussed with Betha and AGRA that this would be good for the continent, but no one is selling orange fresh in your community. No one is growing. Some are suspicious of it. Like, what did they add? People confuse a lot between biofortification and genetically modified. You have all sorts of things going on. You may not be in that business. Okay, so you start understanding where you are and what you are offering. What is the culture like? What are people preferring? How can you reposition yourself? Do you have to travel 200 kilometers to go source orange sweet potatoes? Is that making business sense? Therefore, you start looking at what would be an alternative if I really want to contribute, which is already in my community, which has vitamin A. Maybe it's like a green leafy vegetable that a lot of people consume in your community and people are buying. It could be another product. So I'm just giving you an example to say most of the times where nutrition and business crash, there are a lot of things. There are certain things we're introducing. Farmers or consumers may not be willing to really eat. I've heard people saying, "Oh, vitamin A maize has a certain smell. I don't like it." It's not their fault. They don't like it, they don't like it. But from a nutrition, we want to push it to address a lot of things. Then you from a business will be saying, does this make business case for me? Should I really sell this simply because they said? You start looking into a lot of things, and you start, instead of just giving up, you start getting really creative on how you can present that product. So being intentional with nutrition in business, what I mean here is, if you are designing a product with a nutrition impact in mind, you may need to reformulate. You may need to. Hello, is someone having a comment? Okay, yeah, it's fine. Yes, you may need to reformulate that product to appeal for the quality. You may need to consider a lot of things. If you were putting, let's say you were putting too much salt, too much sugar, unhealthy fats in your product, let's say mandasi, you are doing mandasi or fritters. A lot of us love them. By the end of the day, how much sugar, how much salt, what kind of fats are you putting in that? You may need to adjust it. Instead of using the flour you're using, you may need to put adjustments to meet a lot of nutritional needs. So you have to appeal to the quality, you have to appeal to the health. I've given you this example. I see a lot of products that look so shiny on the packaging, but when it comes to the inside, if you really go deep, you find that that product has zero offering in terms of nutrition. So for example, someone will say my product is all natural. That's why point number 2, I'm saying communicate health benefits clearly and responsibly. That's being intentional in business. So you are selling your credibility and trust. Imagine I bought this and I went to the lab with this yogurt, for example. It says it's all natural, fruit flavored yogurt drink, rich in vitamins, healthy choice. It is claiming a lot. The images are like, wow. Already, if you have a kid with you to shop, they'll go straight to buy this. But what is this all natural? You find that it also contains artificial flavors and preservatives. So it's not that natural as you are claiming to be natural. It has flavor. It is flavored actually. Some people will not even put a single fruit. They will generate synthetic flavors. They will put in that yogurt. You are saying, oh, it's so rich in vitamins. You put flavored synthetic things that do not contain vitamins, therefore it doesn't have vitamins. It's a healthy choice. You can't claim a healthy choice for a product that has 18 grams of sugar, for example, 4% of nutrients. Now, if you are going to sell a product like that, it will sell because it looks all fancy and it's yogurt. But when you put all these grams, you may not be as selling as it is. But then when it comes for you to add little fruits, you start looking at, if I reduce sugar, if I add little fruits, if I go all natural, the cost of production, you may find that it is not matching with your business case. Okay. So here I want to admit to say nutrition is a competitive edge, but going nutrition is not for everyone in terms of who is your customer. You have to have someone in mind, some kind of particular consumers that you can speak to. So understanding your market is very, very important than putting out something that will not really be what you are saying it is. It is what it is. So don't put misleading labels simply because you want to sell. At the same time, really understand to say, will I make profit out of this? If I want to make profit, at what cost? Are consumers going to be willing to buy my product? The other problem would be, how will I know that this is indeed all natural? I'm just a consumer. When you are having like fairs, food fairs and stuff, you can have testing sessions where you can tell when a product is natural or it is flavored. It is very easy to tell. So you can be very creative to bring that on board. So building on that, identifying consumer gaps. Why I brought this is because I see sometimes there are a lot of products or ingredients out there which from a nutrition perspective, we may fail to bring them on the mainstream products because we don't know how to package. I remember there was a time when moringa, I don't know how many of us know moringa, but it's this green leafy, it's called superfood. It has all these nutrients. But when it comes to utilizing that moringa, it is either communities which grew up eating this moringa as a vegetable or really super healthy conscious people who are using it. But let's say you want to use moringa in your food products. You may use moringa in a protein bar, for example. It means you have a percentage of moringa protein in that bar. who are you speaking to? Maybe these are gym people who want to build their muscles, and you are speaking to that. You may need to have your product in the gyms. You may need to have testing time. Let them run the test of your product if it really meets that. Or you may have parents struggling to pack healthy snacks for their children. They're just packing all sorts of processed food in their food containers for their children. But maybe you would want to make moringa and peanut snacks where the children would take to school. But still, the question is, will children like that? Will they buy it? So before you even take your product to scale, for example, you have identified the gaps. The gaps are valid. People want it, but will they accept it? Will they consume your product? So that is the business part where you start now looking into all those aspects to say, will this sell? Or maybe it's a moringa peanut millet crackers. Someone like me, I'm in my mid menopause kind of age. I don't like taking supplements per se, but I like taking products that are nutrient rich. They have iron, they have fiber, they are made from their raw state. I can eat that because I want to avoid these synthetic multivitamins. So understanding where are the gaps and filling in is also important for nutrition. We don't want you to go out of business pursuing nutrition only, but at the same time, you can make a very, very good business if you know who is your consumer. Okay, so I'm giving you a lot of cases because these are real life examples of experiences I have had with businesses, what they have shared with me, and how things are looking like. So your business should add value beyond its offering. Someone says they're processing children's porridge, for example. You are making maize and soya brand flour. You are selling it on the market. It's a common offering for nutrition. You could go an extra mile by packaging it in a way that you put a simple way of how it is cooked. Also, you can say if you have a 6 months, 7 months old baby, you are introducing food to this baby, and this product of mine you buy, remember that your baby at 6 months, the number of times is 2 times of feeding, and they are supposed to eat 3 tablespoons of food. Yes, you are in business, you want people to buy, but you don't want this new mother to overfeed their babies, to overfeed their babies. There are standard World Health Organization protocols for feeding, infant feeding. You can go a mile further by putting that on your package. When a child is 7 months, 6 to 7 months, or 7 to 8 months, they are fed 2 to 3 times with a healthy snack or a fruit in between. So if you are doing this and you have a healthy snack that a mother can get, you are double offering, and you are saying you buy this, but you can even give a snack to your baby. If they're 9 months, how many times? You are giving more information. You are going a mile more. If I'm a new mother, I would love to get something that tells me how many tablespoons should I feed my baby, because an 8 months old baby cannot eat 2 cups of food. That's too much. This baby is entitled to 3 tablespoons per feeding, and you are giving, and this mother is giving so much. I know from a business perspective, it means the more you feed that baby, the more the food will finish, the more they'll come back to buy. But that's not helping. That's overfeeding a child, and that's not good. So I'm just giving you an example of how creative you can be. You are really differentiating yourself from an ordinary person who is just packaged their food in a plastic with no labeling. They're telling that this is soya and maize brand. You can feed your baby. How do you know that's soya and maize? You have no evidence. It's not. If they're not even there, if it's on there, someone selling or sending their child to sell, you have a lot of questions, but you have no answers. So giving it a bit of offering, it makes a lot of difference for nutrition as well as for your business. But still, the question is, if I add extra packaging like this, what is the cost? Will I be able to sell this at a premium price? Those are the questions that we need to ask ourselves, and we need to be answering. Another area that I want us to build on from what I said is that product differentiation is just continuing. There is a lot of, I gave this example of iron-rich beans, iron-rich and zinc-rich beans, for example. In Kenya here, they call them nyota. In other countries, they have different names. In Malawi, they have their own names. But if someone is selling B, there is no way I'm going to tell that this is the Nyota product that they are selling, or this is rich in vitamin and zinc, in iron and zinc beans. But if I label it, I'm able to tell that, okay, this is the offering. Remember, most of your products, to have credibility, they have to have a Bureau of Standards, and Bureau of Standards will literally test your food products to ensure that it is there. But you can still make a difference in terms of how you are packaging. You are telling people this is what it is. And if you put like a barcode, they can scan and then their phone reads more about iron, about zinc. I know people don't like reading these days. They can even scan to your your TikTok page where you are explaining more. It can lead them to that link. There's a lot of technology in this age. Consumer needs more information that is relevant to their offering. Okay, so for example, let's look at this picture. Both are vegetables, but they have different level of diversity and quality. So if I go to the market to buy these vegetables, I will tick on my food consumption scale that I ate vegetables. But for the consumer who eats the vegetables on my left, the ones that are packaged with a lot, they have more offering. And the other vegetables look so slinked, it means they have been out there for a long time. If I go on a shelf in a shop, I find vegetables like this. Personally, I don't buy, because the first question is what nutrients have been lost. Anyway, I'm a nutrition person, so I have a lot of questions. Other consumers may just go and buy, but trust you me, any consumer will still prefer the vegetables that are well packaged, they look fresh. And if you are going to package like that, you can give more information. I think I have 10 minutes to go, so I will not go very much. I put this slide because I wanted to understand where you are and your entry. But I think I'm very glad to see that a lot of you actually are already in the nutrition entry level. Like I've seen a lot of processing, a lot of mixing this, whatever stage you are, I have noted down that a lot of us are already in the nutrition. So what is remaining now is in the next sessions that will be building up, how do there's some things I'm doing, how do I make myself more pronounced to say this is my offering? Yeah, so like for example here, you have 3 products. They are all nutritious. Literally, they're all really nutritious. But what sets them apart? The other product is very clear. It says maize, millet, flour blend, fortified whole blend. So they are fortified with vitamins and all that. And you have, they can have a code. They can check on how to do it. Because you don't assume that people know how to do certain brains. Like where I come from Malawi, we eat a lot of what we call nsima, maize. Lately, people are starting to add different things. But if you were to ask me, how do I cook? It may be a bit difficult for me to say, if I add millet, what will be the consistency of my food? Will it be too soft? Will it be too hard? Different countries eat their ugali or fufu or shima and sima in different ways. So if you are going to add scientifically, how are these nutrients or these products speaking to one another? So before you even introduce, you have to taste it. You have these dry fruits, but I don't know what is in that. It looks well packaged, it looks nutritious, but I don't know. They could be sweets, but they're dry fruits. So it's important to label. Or if you are selling soya, you want people to buy your soya and you are doing soya. If you tell me like I can use my soya in my blended jar, I can add it to my fruit, I can make a smoothie, and you have a good recipe on that, it should be easy for me. But if I don't know, I have soya, roasted soya on my shelf, I don't know how to use it, I may not be able to buy. So from a nutrition perspective, you're just making it easier for your consumers to know how to use your product. So I think now we will be going to a breakaway session. Lee, let me know, should we have questions, discussions on what we have presented before we go to the breakaway sessions? Because in the breakaway, what I wanted us to do is, you're already doing what you are doing. But if you were to switch your business model to focus on nutrition, as I have explained, what would be the 2 key challenges that you would encounter? You would say, Beth, I'm already selling nutritious food. But remember, I've talked about how you package, the quality of materials, all the messaging. You might ask yourself, do I even know about nutrition for me to start talking about nutrition in my product. So I just want to hear from you. Lee will organize how we go to these breakaway sessions, how you can switch if you want to switch to more nutrition focused business, what would be your challenges? But Lee, let me hear from you. Do you think we should have a Q&A session?
Thank you very much, Betha. So I recommend we go into the breakout rooms.
Okay.
So what will happen in the breakout rooms is based on this question that Beta has presented, you will discuss within, so you'll be about 10 or 11 people within the breakout room. Number one thing, please select someone who's going to come later when we regroup, someone who's going to speak to what you are discussing. Present the two main challenges that came up from your group. So within that group, someone who's going to take the lead, because when we reconvene, someone within your group is going to be the one who's going to speak to the two key challenges that were identified by your group. So the Zoom will break us into automatic groups. So you will find yourself in any group. We'll have a total of 10 groups, each with about 10 to 12 people. And then please discuss within that group. Don't leave yet because we still have a very engaging breakout Q&A session coming up. So right now you're going to find yourself in a breakout room. Within that breakout room, please make note of the number of the name of your breakout room or the number. Then once we reconvene, I will be calling upon one person in each breakout room to speak to the two key challenges that they identified in terms of transitioning to a nutrition sensitive business. Okay. If that is clear, then in the next few minutes, you will find yourself in a breakout room. And then once we reconvene and we have the presentations from like 1 minute from each group lead, then now we are going to go into the Q&A session to respond to the ones that have been posted on the Q&A box, as well as any questions that anyone may be having at that point. So right now you're going to find yourself in a breakout room.
I can stop sharing, Lee.
Just keep the question there, please.
Okay.
All right. I found myself in meeting room 1 and I can't see anybody speaking. Can I appoint randomly? Someone has asked a question.
So we are supposed to start immediately?
Yes, please. Then who's speaking? Vivian?
Yes, Vivian speaking.
Vivian, allow me to select you as the chair because we have 8 minutes remaining. Thank you.
Okay.
So I have posed the question in the group, in the chat box. Maybe we can have a look at it.
Okay. Betha, please post the question in the chat box.
I have posted it.
Okay, thank you. Great. Vivian, please go ahead.
Is it possible to read the question aloud so that we can get started?
Okay, so the question reads, if you were to switch your business model to focus on nutrition, what would be the two challenges you would encounter?
Okay, so we start responding.
Yes, we can start.
Yeah, Vomba Nyasulu from Malawi. I do meat processing, mostly meat smoking. So the challenges that I would encounter, well, things are.
Yes, so I guess this is our group and we should start since we have limited time.
I just joined to check on the progress, please. Is that you, Proscovia, speaking?
Yes, it was me speaking.
Okay, please go ahead. Are you chairing?
Okay, we hadn't decided, we hadn't started.
Because of time, allow me to just nominate you as the chair so that we can go ahead.
Okay. Okay, so welcome everybody to room 2. I think we can start by introducing ourselves.
I don't know if you will
And
have
then
time. Sorry, I don't know if you'll have time. Maybe when someone is speaking, it's when they can introduce themselves. Sorry.
Okay, then we can just unmute and speak. You know what the question was? It was, if I'm to make my business nutrition sensitive, what 2 challenges would I face? So I think you just.
Then it is. So, but as it is, it's obviously a misconception. For me, my major challenges is that my target markets believe that chicken is every chicken is every chicken. So I need to create more awareness so that they understand that there's a difference. Because sadly, in Nigeria, we are flooded with hybrid this, hybrid that. They give it a fancy name instead of saying it's GMO. So that's why that's awareness creation is my challenge for me right now, because I always continuously have to educate, tell them that this is what is the difference between the layers you have, the broilers, the noilers, and all of that. Those are not living protein.
Let's cut it short so that others can talk. Sorry. Let's cut it short so that others can talk. Someone else should go ahead. So who is sharing with us again?
Yeah, my name is Lochuku. I'm from Nigeria. Yes, I think that the last speaker said one of my main challenges in when it comes to nutrition. I'm a farmer, I produce.
Okay, so if I can get the a summary of everything we've said so far. So Lilia, kindly, you have to correct me in case I'm wrong. Affordability, acceptability, raw material sourcing, compliance.
Affects the price of my product. So for that reason, I think one of the major challenge for me at that time was the availability of the raw material. Then it
doing research of the nutritional value of the products that we are selling. It comes at a very high cost. Personally, I'm into like chia seeds. They are rich in omega-3, zinc, calcium, name it. But this is
Sorry, I just joined meeting room 7. Who's chairing?
It's
Who was chair group 1, please?
okay. Hello, everyone. My
Hello.
name is Vivian Anena. I was in group 1. So in group 1, we had so many challenges identified, but the major two were: 1, training, and credibility in regards to accessing nutritionists and food scientists to help in, 1, labeling all these nutritional facts into like the produce that people produce or sell out. Then 2 is quantifying or being in position to tell that the nutrients that are in a particular product or in a particular produce is able to do what is said it can do, like that credibility of assuring the population that when you consume A, B, C, and D, you'll be able to get or to find this and this commodity substance in it. So it was 2 major things: 1, training and sensitization, then credibility and accuracy. That is in terms of accessing people who are experts in that area of nutrition. Thank you.
Thank you, Vivian. That's great. Group number 2.
Hello, everybody. I'm Pescovia, and I was in group 2. We also had very many challenges. However, the 2 that stood out were: 1, the group thought they would need to develop a number of products, a new set of products, and this would require resources. So there was challenge of capital, financing, resources for like product development, product modification, nutrition assessment. The second that stood out was creating awareness. The group thought they would need to really create awareness, educate, market, brand better so that people are able to understand the nutritional benefits of their products. Thank you.
Thank you very much, group 2, Poskovia. Group 3.
Okay, I'm representing Group 3. I'm Abosede Sarah Adebayo from Nigeria. We have also quite a number of challenges that were stated, but the ones that stood out were: 1, education on nutrition. As a business owner, you need to be educated on what nutrition is and what should be the combination of our products. And then the other part of it is creating awareness to the target audience, educating them and getting them to understand that your own products are more nutritious, and definitely their pricing would also be affected. So these are the major things that we looked at: training, that's education, and then creating awareness when it comes to pricing and what the products, the benefits this our target audience will be getting. So these are the major challenges.
Thank you, Bozede. That's great from group 3. Okay, group 4.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lillian Bondawana from Group 4. We had quite a bit of challenges that were mentioned, but in the spirit of not repeating what the previous speakers have said, one of the challenges were affordability, since people want cheap and readily available products. I hope I'm audible. Then the other one was limited access to it. There was limited access to information and suppliers. This includes herbicides, fertilizers, alongside land acquisition due to urbanization. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lillian. Group 4. Group 5.
Okay, good afternoon. I'm Ebele Alaka, representing Group 5. And like all the other groups, we had a couple of interesting challenges. But the issue that we're going to talk about today is the increased cost of, when you are pivoting into nutrition, we're talking about adding value in different areas. So there's increase in cost of production, increase in cost of accessing, even in cost of certification, because when you want to certify the quality of the product that you want to bring out, so there's an increased cost. Then the second one is branding, packaging, branding, making sure that what you want to market is actually what you showcase to the people that we are marketing it to. So those are the two major points, challenges that we looked at. The challenge of cost and the challenge of branding and packaging. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ebele and Group 5. Over to you, Group 6.
Okay, I'm Elizabeth from Malawi. So on Group 6, like another group, we had so many challenges, but I think we focused much on research and pricing. So on research, it would be like more difficult and expensive to do the research for the products to make sure that you are within the right nutrition content for the products that you're trying to make. So that one would be kind of a problem and expensive. And also on pricing, like we talked much on the production, like growing maybe like the organic things would require you to, it would be more expensive, while which will eventually be expensive on the market, but then even their sizes are like small, but the nutrient content is there, but then the physical now in terms of the customers to see the thing, it's like it's small. So while those that are growing things using the chemicals and the like, they become big, fetch better prices. So that one would be more of a problem, maybe unless you do proper sensitization and awareness, so that the prices, people should understand it's more on the content and how you're producing it. Thank you, and over.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth, from Group 6. Over to Group 7.
From Group 7, my name is Zawadi from Tanzania. So we had a lot of points, but mainly it was availability and affordability of organic manure, and also about communication information. They do packaging in locally, so there is not much nutritive information to the buyer, but also it contradicts with the cheaper price. People want to buy it in cheaper way, so there is a gap with information for the person who is buying, because they are selling in the general markets, not target market. But again, people want things in a cheaper price. So with that, and also availability of organic manure, it's another setback. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Zawadi and Group 7. Group 8.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Lusungu Finda, and I am from Malawi. In Group 8, we had a number of points that were raised, but I only shared two as requested. The first one being costs associated with nutritional claims. This is to say, if you are to analyze the sample, there are costs that are associated. If the regulatory bodies get involved, there's also a cost that is attached to that. Secondly, being loss of macro and micronutrients due to value addition as well as processing. For instance, when you're drying, there are some nutrients that are actually lost throughout the process. So these were the 2 points that I'll raise. Over, and thanks.
Thank you very much from that's Group 8. Over to Group 9.
Can I ask, is the number the one in brackets? Because ours was room 9/11.
Oh, well, there are two numbers.
Yes, it was room 9 in brackets 11. So I'm not sure.
Oh,
if
11.
we're
11 is the number of people in the room. So that's Group 9.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
So group 9 then. I have 3 major points, but I'll try and summarize them because they are all important. So the first one was cost implications in terms of packaging when you're adding, and the other implication was adding value to these products. That is the cost of doing so, the fertilizers in use, or being able to modify the products. And then the other thing, the major concern with most people was customer acceptance. That is in terms of creating customer awareness of these products, in terms of their nutritional value, and also how do you ensure acceptability of the product. Then the last one would be information. So knowing whether a product should be fortified. For example, someone is doing potatoes. They were wondering about fortification. Basically how to add value. I think people are wanting more information, and also post-harvest handling, like for example, shelf life, etc. Things like that, which bear on cost as well. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Lillian and Group 9. Over to you, Group 10, finally.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Ifeoma from Group 10. And in our group, we had, let's say, 3 categories of people. We had people in, someone in the honey business, a honey farmer, and we had someone into agri-tech, and then we had poultry farmers, and then those into food processing. So we identified 3 challenges that we would face, right, if we are focusing on nutrition. The first being sensitization, customer education, for those in the agri-tech and the honey space, letting customers know that these are unadulterated products, and getting them to actually pay the required value for it. And then the second challenge we identified is for the poultry farmers, right? The quality of feed has actually reduced because there are a lot of unhealthy practices that are, being put in place by the producers of these feeds, who they include pesticides, antibiotics, and some other stuffs, to give the feed longer shelf life, which actually affects, the birds that we consume at the end. So switching, having to produce this feed, themselves is actually challenging because of the lack of resources, and then the materials, production materials. And then the third challenge is for those into processing is actually the production process. Like from the last slide in the class, which was understanding your product inventory, right? We saw that raw and primary food materials, that they are more nutritious when they are least processed. And for a longer shelf life, for these products that we process, right, to have a longer shelf life, we actually have to process it longer, either by dehydration or roasting, or whatever. So how can we ensure that, these products are actually as nutritious as they ought to be, while ensuring that they actually maintain the shelf life required for us to make profit? So these are the 3 challenges that we identified. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ifeoma. Thank you very much, everyone. That was indeed great feedback. That is going to also inform some of the work that we do behind the scenes. But at this point, because we are really caught up in time, and we might request for 10 more minutes of your time so that we can have a good session of Q&A. I will invite Betha back. Betha, confirm you can still hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Thank you. So we will start with the questions that were in the Q&A box, and I'll request Betha that probably take less than a minute if possible to respond to each, so that we can also take some further questions from the audience as we go along. So the first question is from Anna Leone. She asked, how can consumers be expected to pay extra for their health while they're struggling to afford food for survival? So how can consumers be expected to pay extra for their health while at the same time they're struggling to afford food for survival? So over to you, Betha.
Yes. Okay, I think that's a very, very important question. Plus, it's the everyday challenge that we face within our food system. As I said, 50% of Africans cannot afford a healthy diet. That is coming from a place where many of them can just do with what is available to fill their stomachs, go to bed with something on their stomach, while in real life they are not getting as much nutrients that they need for their health as they can. So I think the debate, we shouldn't go into the debate because we are dealing with businesses. If we are dealing with the way we do business as usual, we throw this back question to say, oh, government should introduce policies that support production of healthier food. Governments know that they are supposed to support. For example, from this question, if I'm going into a business selling nutritious food, and the government would like me to support the general population, government has to make trade-offs. Either they support this business by reducing taxes so that you are not bearing the cost of taxes on your business, so that you are making your food cheaper because you are removing the taxes, or I am going to sell my product to the specific consumers that can afford it. In terms of rights, I think that is not addressing universal access to nutritious food. It's really limiting. But as a business, now that's where it comes in. You are going to say, should I really concentrate on nutritious food where only a few people can buy? Or should I just sell what was going to be available to many people and I make profits? You make trade-offs. So from a policy perspective, we start looking into each country. What are the benefit or the provisions that we can take advantage of as business to make available? Or if that food is too expensive, we tend to replace it. So for example, as I said earlier, if they introduced, let's say, millet, which is nutrient dense with maybe iron, and many people cannot afford that because the seed is expensive, many people cannot afford it, you ask yourself, what other food is there that can replace this food but is also affordable and available? So for example, you find that there are certain vegetables that contain the kind of nutrients you want in a certain food, but they're available in this community. So you can also add that as a product that you can make an offering on. It would be cheaper, but it does not make much business sense for you because you want a product that will make business sense for you. Let me also emphasize that why we organize these sessions is exactly these questions, because we don't want to do things from books anymore. We don't want governments to speak anymore. We want, if this is an issue, we should be able to say, look, the government of Malawi, if you want businesses to survive and thrive selling nutritious food, these are policy or taxes that has to go. They have to go completely so that this business can supply the food. Or you have another option where your people be malnourished, you spend so much managing malnutrition and wasting a lot of resources on the people. So yes, the question is very clear, but it doesn't have like a straightforward answer to say you can replace, because I'm dealing with businesses here. It may not be as direct and easy for you just to switch and compromise on your profit pursuing nutrition. So it's not only about you, it's now about the food system as a whole. What should we do? Where are the policy implications that we should really garner and look at and hold someone accountable? Because we hold businesses accountable, but we don't hold our governments accountable. They are accountable to that. I don't know if I've answered that question very well, but I noticed that we have on our master class where we're looking at policy and compliance, your roadmap to breaking barriers and scaling up. We are basically just looking at how can governments support businesses without punishing them to bear the whole cost of trading in the business that they are in. So we also look into that deeper with people who are experts, people who have worked with governments in that. They will direct you how you can go about with this. Lee, another question?
Thank you, Betha. Yes, let's answer a couple more. How can huge, this is Charities in Kala, how can huge production, for example, of maize, more than 3,000 bags, be packed and be able to communicate nutrition to the consumers? 1 minute, Betha.
Okay, just a minute. So if you are selling maize as a whole grain, you can tell the consumers that I have not processed this grain. The bran is there, the fat is there, the protein is there, and you can give them like examples of what happens when you process the maize and what happens when you don't process the maize. If you are selling 3,000 bags of maize unprocessed, it's safe from aflatoxins. That's very nutritious because it's not only carbohydrates or starch in that maize, you have protein in that maize, you have some fats in that maize, you have even some vitamins. Vitamin B is present in cereals, you have in that maize. So you communicate that. In addition, you can say that when you eat whole maize without processing it, distribute, it takes longer to digest, making you less hungry. So especially for weight management, weight gain management, people will say, don't eat carbs, don't eat carbs. But if you eat whole carbs, it helps even better to manage your weight than eating processed meals. So you can still give a message to say whole meal is good for you because it takes longer to digest, it has more micronutrients, and it helps in your fiber. That's your message for that. So you can still sell by just taking out and putting that message out of the difference between whole food and unwhole food.
Thank you very much, Beth. And maybe just to mention that what we will do is that we will compile all these questions. And when we are sending you the recording, Betha will type a response for each and it will be broadcasted to everyone. So each question that is posted here, please rest assured, we may not be able to address it live, but once we are sending you the recording and the slides that were shared, we'll respond to all the questions in order. Betha will take time to do that. And then by tomorrow, hopefully we'll send you the recording as well as the responses. Thank you. But maybe we can take, let's go to the Q for maybe two more from the Q&A box, and then we can get live from the audience. So Grace Gondwe asked, as pointed out earlier, you talked about as Africa, we grow a lot of food and yet we do not consume nutritionally. I believe that knowledge or awareness might also be a contributing factor. Now, how do we embed this into our business for people to surely understand the concept of nutrition?
Yeah, that's very, very true. Knowledge is key. And I've seen a lot of, even from the challenges that you have mentioned, that when people don't have information, they don't make informed choices. The greatest challenge we had over the past 20 years is that people were doing knowledge sharing as a project. So if I have a nutrition project in some village, I'll assemble the women, give them information, but no one goes to the consumer, to the real market to give the right information. So someone mentioned to say, how can our market have information like this? This is where the public and the private have to work together. So for example, organizations like us, AGRA, working with SMEs like you. So we know in Nigeria we have these SMEs, in Malawi, in everywhere. When we are designing consumer awareness messages, market-based, we have to consider all these products, package that information, do a nationwide kind of campaign to help you. I always say that a business will not go far in the ecosystem if you just say, oh, they're business, they're making money, but they're also feeding people. So we have that responsibility and duty to make sure that we are packaging our information with the SME in mind. If someone is selling honey, how can we support them sell that honey from a nutritional perspective? If someone is selling maize, as she said, we really have to take all this into consideration. And why we came up with this is exactly the same, to understand where are the gaps and how can we now start packaging the right information. We could have a whole continent-wide kind of movement for nutrition information sharing, taking case studies. We can all do this, but it needs a lot of collaboration, understanding where are the gaps, and packaging this information. It's very expensive for a business to go into this space alone, to start doing consumer awareness and all these things. You need the knowledge, you need the information. Someone talked about the packaging itself. Someone talked about the measuring of the nutrients. All this you can't do as a business, you go broke. That's why we look now in each country to say, is there a food innovation hub we can work with? That food innovation hub should be able to test for you your product for free, to give you information. Your product has these nutrients, your product shelf life should be this. All this is part of the things that we would want going forward to support businesses, because it's not only your responsibility to feed the continent, it's all of us coming together. You are making money, but you are also saving this continent from spending so much on healthcare. So we are putting all that together as part of the things that we would want to address in our food system, making sure you have right information, you know where you can go to test your product. You are also, we should be able to even convene for you investors, angel investors, all sorts of investors. You should be coming together and say, I have a pitch for my business. You can't do that alone because you don't even know where are the investors. But if we bring investors together, we bring you together in one platform, we can have for each country. You pitch your product, you find investors. So it's a lot of different aspects. That's why we asked where you are in your business, what are the issues you are challenges you are facing, and then how do we come in with a business focus in mind. You make profits, but you also benefit the health of everyone. It's everyone's responsibility. It's not only businesses. And I've always emphasized, if this continent is going to look at SMEs as they are in business, then we are losing the battle against malnutrition, against development on this continent. Because remember what you are doing, a younger person is looking at what you are doing. The mistakes you are making today are the right things another person will make tomorrow. So it's a research in progress, but we have to all doing the right thing. I don't know if I have answered, but yeah, the whole point of having this session of you understanding who is doing what are the roles, what am I supposed to do, is all for you as a business to know and take advantage of what is available. If it's not available, we start demanding. Governments meet every year in all many sessions and forums, spending billions and billions just to make food move from one place, just to make people healthy. If they leave SMEs, we are not going to win this battle. So this session is all about exactly this. Maybe we can open
Yes,
the Q&A
thank
sessions
you,
now.
Betha. And just to reiterate that we are still going to respond to all these questions in the email that we're going to send. So what you post may not be responded to, but please rest assured that we are going to respond to all the questions once we are sending out the recording. So Anna, please allow me, since we responded to one of your questions, let me ask Ruth Desina to unmute and ask a question. We're probably just going to take one live question and then
Sorely.
close.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm Ruth Adeshina Akiyemi from Nigeria. Madam Becca, you talk about chain. That is the processing in this our nutritional the chains in the nutritional value, and you talked about from maybe manufacturing to the table of the consumer. You know, as a farmer or as a business owner, you cannot do everything. You might be the manufacturer, you might not be the person to process, and you might not be the person that will do the packaging and things like that. You see, like for example, I remember one time that they said some certain goods are banned to be exported from Nigeria because they discover some poisonous substance in those fish. Let me talk about fish. That it was. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, now I can hear you.
Okay. I'm talking about the chat. As a business owner, we cannot do everything. Yes, from manufacturing to the table of the consumer. You see, along the line, there might be breakup. There might be a place that we lost the nutrition that we needed. I gave an example of a case that I learned that catfish was banned from exporting to some countries from Nigeria because they discovered some poisonous substance. And during the traceability, they now discovered that it was from the processing. The charcoal they used to dry those fish were not the actual charcoal or tree they are supposed to use. So my question now is that, though along the line, I discovered that there is a technology in blockchain, Web3 aspects that you can use to trace all these things from the manufacturing process to the. So, but now I want to say that is maybe we encourage women to go into that aspect, because even this nutritional value we are talking about, it can be bridged somewhere. But the facility for us to bring up those technology, sometimes, like me, I'm trying to work on blockchain that can trace those things.
Ruth, but please try to be faster. Go to the question so that we can close, please. Sorry.
The question is that how can we get like funding to do all these things, to make this chain not to be bridged somewhere? That's my question.
Yeah, that's very important. And thank you for asking that. We have a topic in week 4. We are leveraging Internet of Things and digital traceability of food products for market positioning. The whole point of us having this is how can we avoid some of these aspects? You said there are a lot of players in the value chain. You might be someone who is not actually processing the catfish, but you are the one who is trading in it. Maybe you might be the last person who the customer gets into contact, and they'll be blaming you like your fish almost killed us, and yet it was somewhere else. So if I'm gonna order food from certain farms or from someone, I should have that kind of traceability. What feed are they giving? That's the thing I talked about. What are they feeding this fish or this chicken? How are they drying it? All those things are important if I want to be an off-taker taking those products to the next. There are a lot of private sector actors that are on board right now looking into these different things. One thing as AGRA that we do is we don't only look at you as a business, we also look at who else can help you to do this or can partner with you in this kind of business. It can be a Japanese company, it can be a Chinese company, it can be an African company. But if you work together and you see value in it, you can partner and work with that. So the other whole point of us being here is get these issues, try now to look to say, how do we pair businesses? Who can they get advantage of? Where can get their solutions? If you are not able to label your products, is there a food innovation hub in your country that can support you? So this is how we are going to proceed. If you look at the sessions, these 8 sessions, they're kind of building on each other and literally looking at the most current issues that are affecting small businesses on our continent for them to scale, to make profits, for nutrition, and for a lot of other things. So don't worry about that. We'll look at it. We'll have examples of partners we can work with, and you can see how we can go forward as we journey on this exercise.
Thank you very
very
much.
much, Betha. Thank you, Ruth. Please, if anyone, Tandekile and everybody else who has their hand raised, because of time, we may not be able to take your live question.
Let them type. Let them type them.
Please, yes, use the Q&A box before we close so that we can still have the question, because we have committed to responding to all your questions on email. So please ensure you ask your question on the Q&A box. But for now, because of time, we have to wrap up. We had committed to closing this at in 2 hours, and I think we are 10 minutes above at the top of the hour. So we'll be closing now. Please remember, next week we are dealing with processing techniques. So that should be a very exciting session, especially for you who are in agro-processing. We have an exciting speaker, so please make sure you diarize us to join us for the next session. The link is the same. Let me make that clear. The link is the same, so you don't need another link. It's the same link that you will use. But in case you have people who want to join and have not registered, ensure you get them to register fast. They will not be able to get recordings and everything else if they are not registered. And the registration link is always sent when we are sending out the email for those who have not registered. But these sessions, the link is the same. The Zoom link will be the same every week for all the 8 sessions. So thank you so much we've had over 200 people join the session. That has been very exciting. We hope it has been informative. Please feel free to give us feedback as we send you the email. Thank you very much, Betha, for allowing your expertise to be useful to every one of us. We really appreciate the time. We understand that 2 hours will never, ever be enough, but you try to condense it within that time to give us as much as possible. So we look forward to next week's session. Please always check your email. We'll be sending communications frequently. There's a test also that might be sent to you or will be sent to you against which we're going to score you. And remember, at the end of the 8 sessions, someone will be awarded, 2 people will be awarded to a full sponsorship to attend the Africa Food Systems Forum in Dakar this September. And another reminder before we close, by the next session, I think we'll almost have closed the Women Agripreneurs of the Year Awards, that is WIRE. So if you have not started your application, or you have not submitted your application, please remember to do so by the midnight of 31st of May, because then the applications will have closed, and it's an exciting opportunity to win cash prizes of up to $300,000, all available for women in agribusiness. So please watch out for that. If you're a gentleman, especially if you're a youth, so we also have another competition called Go Getters. We might also send information on that later, because we have numerous opportunities just to make sure that you as an agripreneur, we are growing you from one stage to another. So thank you so much, everyone, once again, and we look forward to meeting you again for the processing techniques next week, Thursday, same time. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Good.